So this is the sefer called Chaim. It's really the OTZROT Chaim. It's written down by, this is an aspect of the, not the basic, this is one of the editions of the eighth Chaim. There are three different, let's say, versions or editions. I think maybe editions is right. Different ways that the eighth Chaim looks at reality. And this is the second one of the three. It's called the Bedura Tinyana in the eighth Chaim. Now there are three Meduras. Medura means, I think it means an addition. Not sure exactly that's the best word in English, but I'm trying. At any rate, there's Medura Kama, the first one, and then the Bedura Tinyana, which is the most complete one, is this one. They're all different. They're all really talking the same subject, but they all have different approaches. And the Bedura Basra, which is the last one, that makes up the eighth Chaim. So this is the beginning. You can't say it's beginner because it's not easy material, really. But this is what we're doing, and I've been learning with a young man this Chaim. Baruch Hashem, that's a couple of people that I'm learning with now, and from the kollel around here and from other places. At any rate, he's excellent. He's a Makid Shir in the Daf Yomi every day. He if he wants to, he could do all kinds of different teaching things in the Gemara, and he has a good yichus, and he's really smart. So I've been letting him do all the reading. I'm letting him express himself because he has the ability. I don't know if he has the idea yet to speak to an audience, but he's learning the OTZROT Chaim at this point. So this is, yesterday we had a shir, but I didn't have my recording equipment because I came late. And so I'm going to redo it for the sake of those who listen to these shurim. And let me see if I can find it over here. Let me see. That's where we went to. And this is where we started. Okay, so I found the place where we started. And so I'll be doing the reading. This young man, this young man is really, like a rabbi. He's very learned, but he's young. And this is the first look at this. Let me see if I can get this up higher so it can be seen easier. So it starts like this. We're on number Ches, which is down over here. We'll get to it. So it says, we read the blurb at the top. That's how I do it. And it's not a long shir today. Yisbor shebeyitzias akudim hu or Yashar. So when the kudim came out, they came out in a straight line from the top to the bottom. Because of rasam hu or choser, but when it goes backwards, back towards the pada'ak, then it becomes a returning light. So let's read. I guess we could read down below, and we'll just keep reading along. Let me see how this works out. So he says, "V'hine noda ki keshabo hasfirish alakudim." When they came out of the pada'ak, hoya penechem lamata, their faces faced downwards. Ki gavanas bi'asam kul hoyer lamata, because what they wanted to do was shine down onto something below them. So their faces, therefore, were in the direction of those who would receive their light. But when they're going back, that into the Pa'avak, then they turn their faces, so to speak, and they're now facing where they're going, and their backsides are pointing downwards. So now we see a concept here. They have front side and they have a back side. And the front side is the side that's mashpia, and the back side, well, that's something else. So he said, let's go on. He said, they're originally inside of the pada'ak, shehem akudim v'kashurim ka'achad, where they are all bound together into one entity. In the past, and now these akudim come out of the mouth. If it ever gets the yasim and in the way that they're coming out of the mouth and they're going downwards, as oram lamata, they would shine their light going downwards. And then their faces were in the direction of those that would receive them that are down below them. And the light goes straight down. It's called Yashar, straight down. And that light is a light of giving. It's a light of Rachamim. So, but when they finish that his pashtus, the lights go back to where they came from. The feed of the pad the ak. So the first thing is a keser goes up. So when it's going up, it turns its face, so to speak, towards where it's going. Towards the mouth of Ak, which is the Ma'atzel. King Sharcha Spheres, then all the rest of the spheros, Hifnu of Haim, they also turn their faces, the Mala El Keser. It's like a train or transom that everything is moving together. Let's read a little bit more. So he said, let me see, get this lined up. So their fronts are looking upwards and their backs are facing downwards. And so therefore the lights that are pouring out of them at that time, is the concept of orchozer, which is within the fish of boim derek acharayim, because it comes from the backside. So this is a pairing of the idea of the backside and Lashon Din. Now let's come up here to the top, and a little blurb, and then we'll go down below. Yisbar Mahu or Choser. So we have to understand what is the nature of this or Choser. It could be a little bit difficult for me to understand. So he says, we'll read from number test. Number test says, Vihine Ba'alos Keser Ela Ma'atzel. So he says that when the Keser goes back into the Pada'ak, Ein Safek Ki La'olam Ein Or Hama'atzel Nipsak Afila Rega Echad. There's no doubt that the Or Hama'atzel, it never stops flowing. The Rega Echad Min HaMekabdem V'Hanatzalim. It's constantly shining. The Pada'ak is constantly shining. Adar HaRABBI Pratos Mahu Or Choser. What in fact is this concept called Or Choser? Haklalhu, so the general idea is like this: Shekol Bechinas Narantki, Shenishbaru the Pirush Olam Makudim. All the lights that fell into that wind up being manifested, Olam Makudim. Enu or Prate Haba Min HaSpheres Bilvad. It's not a particular light that comes from the spheres only. Elachem Shefach HaNishbach Elachem Min HaMa'atzel. In other words, there's light. These are lights. But they also, along with them, are in a part of a stream. It's like fish in a stream, so to speak. And the stream itself is coming from the Matzel. The Haidach of Bepeda'ak Nikra Ma'atzel, the Fishu HaMa'atzel, this Olam Akudim, because it's the immediately cause, the way we can understand it, of Olam Akudim. For Spheres Mamshichos as Or HaMa'atzel, the Spheres Shalamata. So the Spheros, they have the ability to be able to stream down as Or HaMa'atzel, the light of the Ma'atzel, the Spheres Shalamata, to the other spheres that are below them. In order to be able to grow them, the Lagalus as Chelkich on the Radke, and to reveal the different portions of the light that would be inside of these spheros. Shalam. The Gemara is Bar Shekai Shecha Ba'or Yored the Matas. And very explained. As the light goes down lower, Hashefa Nishba B'derek Rachamim. The Shefa actually, it really flows in the way of Rachamim. It's going from the top to the bottom of the Kevin Sheyored Shefa Derech Hapanim, because now it's coming off of the face, goes to the face. But as the spheres go upwards, Ha'or Haba Mehem Ku Nikridin. So he says the light that's coming to the V'kasher Spheros Olos Lamalo, they're going up. That light that's coming to them is really the light which is called Din Kevin Shefa Nishba Derek Ach. Now this is have to picture what it's talking about, because the Shefa that's now going to come to them as they're going backwards is going to come to whatever is below it through the backside. So that I had the question of whether it means that it rolls off of them around to their backside and then, or it actually goes into them and then it's digested inside of them, so to speak, and comes out the rear end. And that seems like it's more plausible, that the light of the Ein Sof has to go through the front end to get to the back end. This is interesting. Try to see how that works. So the differences between Rachamim and Din. So it really depends on what the giver is and how, in fact, it's giving. So in other words, whether it's coming from the front or it's coming from the back. But that's only in terms of givers and receivers. But in terms of the matzah, Ein shum shinui ki tomed mashpia or hashefa l'tachtona, because he's always bringing the or hashefa l'tachtona b'bli shum hepsek klal, without any hepsek at all. Gumoshe b'vor v'cholech. So, like we're saying as we're going forward. Now, let's see what we say. Arak ha'chefesh hu ki be'esa ki asher ha'keser hoya ola l'mala. So now at this time, where keser is going up, he's back into the pad up. Oz ha'or ha'yorid min abo min ha'ma'atzel, the light that's coming down from the ma'atzel. Yorid b'mena the spheros, the girsas shar gdomos, he says, is Oz ha'or ha'yorid min ha'ma'atzel, that light that comes down the ma'atzel, that spheros shalamatim, min the keser, that spheros that are below the keser, nimshach v'over derech acharov. That's where he wants to come to say now. That light, as the light is returning to the pad da'ak, and especially like the keser went in already, now the light is still flowing as it's coming down, as the light is coming down, but the spheres of the akudim are going up. So what's happening? Shaharehu hefech pafach panav lamala, because now what's happening is that the face, so to speak, has turned. We'll try to understand what face means, but he's giving us a definition actually. The face means the place which is the place of Rachamim. But the backside is the place of Din. So therefore that light that is coming to the spheres, it goes through the backside of the keser. And since it's coming from the backside, hu din knizker, that makes it din. So this is really the difference here. Is that the keser goes back to the matzel, which is the peda'ak. Because as that's going on, everything works in tandem and starts looking back towards the ma'atzah, because that's where they're going now. The kevin sha'ma'atzah mashbia b'sphira shefa b'kol age, it never stops pouring out light. Nimsa shebe'ez aliyas ha'keser l'malo uponav kabonas l'matzila. So he says the simsa shebe'ez, whereas it's going, the keres is going up, and its face is turning towards the matzil. Nimsa she'or ha'ma'atzil ha'meir bo, so it comes out like this, that the light of the ma'atzil that's shining there, nimshach l'mata al the sphera she'tachta v'derech achra, so it comes down, nimshach going downwards, but it goes back through the backside, derech achra, back and through his backside, or his bottom side. But he doesn't mean bottom, he means back. This back is the bottom. So therefore it's din. So he says in the same way, Hu b'shar hasfiros be'esh shehoya chozim v'olim. So at the time that they went backwards, and they're going back towards the path. V'chein alzu ha'derek nimshach ha'shefim in the ma'anzu derek akrei kol hasfiros. So this is how the light goes down to the backside of all the spheros. Ba'ofen shekol hasfira mekabelas atar ma'acharakim shechol hasfira shehi l'malach amena, because each sphere now is receiving light from the backside of what's up above it. V'chagam shechol sfiras mekablos es shefa derek upon him, and so whereas we see that they're getting, the shefa is coming through the face, Im kol zecher v'kevish ha-sfira shalamala mashpecha as a shefa derek acharav. So this would probably answer a question. It's getting the light in its face because it's coming at it. Its face is facing upwards. He said, but the way that it's delivered is from the acharayim of what's up above it. As a shefa derek acharav, the sfira shalamata haman. V'chein zecha or hu b'chinas din. So therefore, this light is the aspect of din. Amnam, he says, Yesh hefresh echad, v'hiki ha-chochma ene mekabelis rak min ha'achrayim shal l'kesa levad. So it comes like this, that the chochma, it receives from one acharayim, the acharayim of keser only. That's all it gets. She gets from two acharayim. One is keser, the other one's chochma, v'hu yosa din. So there's going to be more din, it's got a double din there. V'chein al derek zeh, the same way, al malchus shenimsas shemekbelas min tish acharayim, from the malchus, which is now receiving from the 9 backsides. Yesh chilik nosef bein hashefach hayored derech yosher. So he says there's an additional chiluk between the shefach hayored derech yosher, between the shefach that's going down in a straight line, the bein hashefach ha'oler ba'or choser, between the shefach that goes up or in or choser. There's a difference what's coming down and what's going up. Because this is the way it is. The shefa that goes in a straight line, who over mashpia because sphera as chelko. So it gives portions to every single sphera, gets some of that. As and that's the point. They get all their lights from the face. The face is mashpia to what's down below it. But at the time that the light goes into the matzil, and now it's shining through their backsides. As a shefa, so Chachma now is going to get from the Acharayim of Keser. There Acharayim echad, but it's only one Acharayim. Shu Hachaim the Keser Bilvad, it's only the Hachaim of Keser. Avacha the Bina, the Kabbalah B'shnei Hachaim, but the Bina receives it from 2 Hachaim, Shehem Hachaim the Keser, Hachaim the Chochma, which are those 2 Hachaim that we're talking about. So he said, V'chein, Kachol Shechasfira Yoset Hachtona, so he says that since we see all that the Sphira is lower, Kain He Mekabbalah says, Or Ha'ach, so it's going to get more acharayim than anything else. She gets 9 lives coming from all the upper, the 9 spheres above her, so to speak. Shehem dinim meruvim, which has a lot of din in it, because you see there that there are so many acharayim pointing at her or coming to her. Then the dim gets stronger. So this gives you an idea of Malchus in general, of what piles into Malchus. Amnam, call hashpas or acharayim. So he sees like this, all the hashpah that come from the light of the backside, who rak ba'esa liyas akesa the peh da'ak is only at the time of the Aliyah of Keser, the Peh Da'ak, of the Aliyah of Keser, the Peh Da'ak. V'adaim lo sayim as Aliyasa, but it still is on the way, but it still hasn't gotten there. V'kashecha v'chakeser sayim la'alos the Peh Da'ak, but when the Keser actually makes it in to the Peh Da'ak, Choser mashpia or Yashar b'derek panim she'em rachamim, everything turns back around, facing downwards again, and then all of the derech rachamim, which is the face, and putting face with the derech of Rachamim, he says that's going to be shining. So, let's skip that and go like this. Hine he Yosef of a Spheris Amalchus Mekabelis or Shal Teisha Acharayim. She's getting the light of 9 different Acharayim. Who Rambam B'Tevis Targum. It's interesting. Targum means translation. Maybe it means transition or something trans. That it's moving in one direction or another. Remez b'tevis Targum Amramezes al Midas Malchus, which is really a reference to the Midah of Malchus. So we can explain later how that works. So it comes like this, that when the Havaya is simple, just Yud Ke Vav Ke, and it just comes straight down, Yud, then K, then Vav, then K. Az Ashba Ki Derech Panim, that is what we call the Derech Panim, the way of the face. Biblically or Yashar, which is the idea of the straight line. The Chanisha Shefa Nimshach Ba'oz Yud La'oz Hey, that is the Shefa. Nimshach Ba'oz Yud La'oz Hey, Oz Hey La'oz Vav, and the Oz Hey to Oz Vav, Oz Vav La'oz Hey. Amnam Kashecha B'chuchu B'chinas Or Choser, but when it's an Or Choser, it's going the other ways. Oz Hu Nirbaz B'chav B'vayah B'Revua. So a Revua is constantly trying to reach the other place, but it has to keep going back to the beginning. It goes like this. It goes to Yud, and then you want to go to K, but first you have to go Yud K. And then if you want to go to the next level, you have to go Yud K Vav. It's incomplete, goes back and starts again at the Yud until it gets to Yud K Vav K. It's like an unfolding process. So this, the way that this works like that, which is called a Revua, he says that this is like a Nachman, Ma'uman. I don't know about the Ma'uman part, but the other part is a Gematria 354. So check my math on that one. So this is called Havaya in the Revua form. That's a Revua. Keep going back to the beginning. Yud and Nana Mashpira Ba'los Hey. Ella he choseres the os yud, but it goes back to the yud again. Kamisha ain't a rosa the chashpia. It's like, it doesn't really want to be going forward. V'oz mispashetes ha'os is yud k. Then you see there's a spread. There's a new idea. This is that two lights come out, yud and the k. V'tekef heim mistalkim. So then immediately they leave. V'hine heim. Shem Havaya B'Revua, so he says this is the way it goes, etc. It goes like that. So this is how the Havaya comes out in Revua, and that Revua of the name Yud Ke Vav Ke is 72. So since Malchus really receives the 9 lights of the backside lights, V'kol Havaya Acharayim Hi Gematria Av, and every Acharayim we know that the Revua of Havaya is 72. So all of them are going to be 72s. The Vichochim Remezes B'Tevis Targum. Targum is translation. So he says Sha'olel B'Gematria Chakaminin Teisha Pamim Av, which comes with the Gematria of 9 times Av, together with the Kola. V'od Yesh Hefresh Echad, so there's another different distinction. Ki milvad kilo tosefes riboy o miut bekinas acharayim. So besides the differences in the amount of light, riboy o miut bekinas acharayim, whether you have more acharayim for being mashpia or you have less, yesh gam came shinui acher. There's something besides that, more or less, how much acharayim there is. V'huki hinecha teferis. There's another idea he wants to bring out. Is that all of the mashpim from the acharayim are not equal. So he says that's what he's going to say. V'hinei ki hinei hatiferes mekavam acharayim shal gevura. Shehem acharayim kashim ma'od, because in gevura is where the big squeeze takes place, and in gevura is where, let's see, the real dinim are located. But the sphere that's up above, which is chesed, is not like that. So according to this bechina, also there will be a shinui in the light, that goes to them. O yihya din gamor, o b'motza, o cholosh, or be a really bad din, or maybe the din not so bad, or maybe it'll be even really a weak, or a weak din. So in my pen, I don't have enough strength, I guess, to enough time, maybe. To broaden on this idea more and go into more depth. Halukos, Elo, Chaim, Rabbim, there's a lot. From Maskil, Yavim, so you understand basically what we're saying, the different possibilities. So he says like this, Milvad ha'chiluk sheyesh b'minyan oros ha'ach, sha'sfiris makablos, besides the way that they're receiving from the backside. The Gemoshe b'ardach the elsha kakol shachasfira yoseh tachtona, because he said the lower the sphere is, the more backside, in other words, din that it will have. Kain he mekabelas or mekabibitz acharayim rabos yosef, because it's getting more and more varied, I think varied, acharayim coming at it. Ad shechamalchus mekabelas b'teisha acharayim, to Malchus gets 9 of them. Yesh od chiluk bezeh, there's another differentiation. Yah teferes mekabel es or ha'ach mechagavur, because the Teferes receive the light of the backside from Gevurah. Shehi b'bechinas dinim kashrim, which is the concept of really the bechina of very strict dinim. Shaharecha b'midas ha'gevucha v'yesh ribui shel dinim, because in Gevurah there's a lots of din. V'kevin shehi b'shpicha b'chal Teferes, and since it pours into Teferes, limsa shecha Teferes mekabelas or acharayim b'bechinas dinim kashrim, so that's what happens in Teferes. So he says, Amnam ha-gevura atzma, the gevura itself, she the matacha min chesed, which is below chesed. If you're looking at it in line, it's below chesed. He mekabelas or acharayim chala, she gets a very weak acharayim from chesed. Sha'arei he mekabelas as or acharayim shal sfiras chesed. She'ein bo din ko kosher, doesn't have such a really bad din, kamo b'sfiras gevura, like gevura itself. So gevura gets a light because gevura itself is din. But often shekol sfira min ha'esed sfiras, that all every sfira of the 10 sfiras, yesh bracha b'shina b'toika v'adin shabbat, it has a what? It has a difference in the strength of all of the dinim that are in it. Let's see, I lost track of where I'm at. Sorry. Ki hu mishtanach of the feet kumos acharayim, because it changes according to the qualities and the quantities of the backside. It didn't say quantity, it says the quantity of the acharayim v'chein the feet equals acharayim, but also the quality of the acharayim, for how much din is in it. Ukakol, and like all of this, he says, shachadin shaba'acharayim yosef beruba, that the din of the backside is more. Kena sfira mekabelas bechinas din yosef kosher, so then the sphere below it is going to get more din. Uve'emes she'elocha and yonim is chalking lepratim rabim ad ma'od, so that you could really start differentiating this, really getting into all the splitting it up. Sha'arei yeshki lukim rabim shel shinu midas adin, because there are lots of differences in the changes in the midas adin. Bechinas acharayim, the sfira achas, from the acharayim of one sfira. The bechinas acharayim shel sfira, the chayrata, or the backside from the one that's next to it. Of yesh sheyesh bechem gevura meruba, there are those that have more gevura than others. V'yesh shehem bechem elamat gevura, but there are those who have only a little bit of gevura. V'chein yesh sfira sheyesh bechem chesed meruba, v'yesh sheyesh bechem chesed moed, v'hamaskil yaveh l'chale kol elu hachilukim. So you could see how it is that all of these different things are mushba. Now I was thinking that as I was reading that if you think that this gevura pours into Teferes, but we know that in Olam, as we're to get to the Olam Atikun, that Teferes has to be able to have all this din coming into it. It's got the din, little din of chesed, and the big time din of gevura coming in. So how does it survive and not be taken over completely by the din? So I think it draws on chesed, and that's the balance. That's the kind of the Teferes is the balance scale. It draws down from chesed to balance out the gevura that it's receiving directly. So it's like it's in the middle between the right and the left. The left is the gevura and the right is the chesed. Anyway, going on. The nimsecha ola bekol mashin is boyer adkan. Sheyesh Shlosha Mini Or, there are 3 different types of Or. Harishon Hu Ha-Or Ha-Nikra Or Ha-Kudim. One is called that light. So what's the next? Hu Or Yashar. That light is the light that comes out of the Pada'ak. The Yotzim the Pada'ak Mispasha Klape Mala and starts flowing downwards. Fuha Or Shala'achar Mekan. So this is the light that after this, Ola B'Chazachar the Pada'ak goes back into the Pada'ak. Vor Hasheni, so there's a war that goes down, and later it's going to go up. Vor Hasheni Hu Harishimo Shal Zaha Or Ayashar, so that it goes down so far, and then it retracts itself, like the Mississippi River flows, and then it stops. A certain place. The place that it stops, it starts going back to its mouth, if that's possible to imagine. And he says that the place that it stopped, though, it leaves an imprint of itself. Behind the Shebechaliyas Ha'or Chazak, the called Sphira that has the light, which is the really more quality light, because we're making Kalim here, right? Hu Menir Be'Bekom Roshem Ha'or Chazak, it leaves behind in its place an imprint of the more fine light, the fine light that left. Vor Atzbach Be'Oila Be'Chazara Alama'atz, the light itself, that is the more refined light, is going back to the Pada'ak. So that those are 2 things. The first, the Or Yashar comes down, it fills up the spheros, it spreads, and then it goes back. But when it goes back, it leaves a Rishima behind. That's the second light. Then there's a third light, that's called the light that's the Or Choser, Shuhu HaShefa. And what is Or Choser? Now here's a definition here. He says Or Choser, Shefa HaYored Min HaSpheros Derek Ach. It's what goes down into the spheros from the backside. So this is light that pours either through the sphere up above it or over the back of it, but at any rate, it's light from the backside. I'm thinking it's the backside light, but I don't know. Ad Khan and his bar b'divrei harav, Malchu Rishimu Malchu or Yashar b'Malchu or Chorzev v'Kolim is overkolim Mitzayef, and everything that comes out of that. V'ata Chozach Rav, the verse, and now the Rav is coming to explain Barucha in detail. Inyan Habatisha, how it is that they strike. There's some striking. They strike each other. For Holedis Orcha Nigrach Nitzutzos Shehem HaKiyus Benim the Kalim, which is the inner force of light in these Kalim. And that's for another shir, and we'll see if we get the young man back and see what we can do then. This is Baruch Fleischman. You're listening to the Tikkun Elevator Kolo.